But yeah, so we're going to go ahead and get straight into Wine About It here. Presented by L'uva Bella Winery, which I think everybody knows by now, but if not, we got a tweet today from someone asking why we complain so much, why we whine so much. And I know you DM'd it to me instantly, and you're like, has he not listened to Wine About It? Because it's kind of what we do. But we're both going to be trying wines tonight. I know you got that, what is it, the bourbon-aged Merlot?
Yes, bourbon barrel-aged Merlot. And
yes.
If you saw my tweets on Monday night, because I had a big betting day from the race. And we'll talk about it. We'll review the race more. I feel like I fucking nailed that race after practice and qualifying, and I think I'll tie it into your Wine About It, possibly. But so I was really happy with how the race went, obviously, from a betting perspective and from an analysis perspective. So I cracked the wine early, and I did a poll, and you all chose the bourbon barrel-aged Merlot. And if you saw my tweet, I loved it. So I'm going to pour a glass once more. Not a ton because I want to hit some beers here, but I'm going to pour a little bit more and give you my taste review. I actually recorded a taste review just in case I forgot, but I'll just do it right here. So, all right, and this is another funny part. Last week when I drank on the air, I was like, all right, I'm going to sip it or whatever, and I did it right next to the microphone, and Jim Sonis of Number Fire was like, I love the ASMR wine sip, so I'm going to have to make this a thing now. So, all right,
yeah.
Here's me tasting the bourbon barrel-aged Merlot from L'uva Bella Wines. Dude, this is incredible. So, I'm from the Southeast, right? Virginia, North Carolina. Not like the deep South, but the Southeast. And bourbon's big down there. And I've had my share of bourbon throughout my day. One thing I always know with me and drinking whiskey or bourbon, I'm going to get heartburn, acid reflux, feel the acidity, the burn from it, because bourbon does do that. And then wine can be acidic, and Merlots typically are like a medium acidity. But the thing about this L'uva Bella bourbon barrel aged Merlot is it's not acidic at all. I don't think I would ever get heartburn from this. It is smooth. But you can there's a very forward taste of bourbon, which I like. I think that's great. And it's tamed by the Merlot. And for some reason, that combination, I've had other bourbon barrel aged red wines, not necessarily Merlots. They've been acidic and given me the heartburn type stuff and have either been too forward on the bourbon or not forward enough. This is the perfect balance, perfect blend. Doesn't give me heartburn. I don't feel like I'm going to get heartburn from drinking it. I'm not going to drink more than a glass or two, tops, and I would sip it, but it is incredible. It is up there with my favorite wines of all time, and I say this not as them sponsoring. I will legitimately be a consumer of this forever as long as I'm around because this is so good. The only critique I have, it has that, wax, top, and I could not get that fucking thing off to open it to save my life. But that's a me thing because I don't know how to do that and I'm clumsy. It took me forever to figure out how the hell to open that. So that was 100% a me thing.
That's awesome. So, what's your wine about it?
So I alluded to it in the opening. I'm going to whine about the results of the Was This a Good Race poll from Jeff Gluck, because what the hell are people voting no for? What is wrong with you? That was a damn good race. So, when I look for a good race, I look for can you pass? And can you pass the leader? And while we did not have passes for the lead much, A, you could if you were faster, and B, even if Kyle Larson was faster than Byron for portions of that, I truly believe that was a Hendrick strategy to just have them race nose to tail because it helped them pull away from the field rather than battle for the lead. There was nothing to gain by gaining the lead back and forth there until the very last stint. So it made no sense for Larson to pass Byron, especially in stage 1 and 2, knowing caution flags are going to fly at the end of the stage anyway. It's just going to bunch the field back up. So getting a 15-second lead or a 12-second lead doesn't matter. You just want to stay nose to tail and just make sure you're kind of clear of the rest of the pack so you don't have to deal with any potential incidents or other guys trying to pass you. Because if Byron and Larson start slicing and dicing it, that's going to bring everybody else back up to them where they could get threatened for the lead again. So the rest of the field, though, you could pass. Look how Tyler Reddick sliced through the field early in the race. Look how Bubba Wallace made his way forward. Look how many drivers went forward. Look how many drivers went backward, especially notably the Penske cars. And it was a very good race. You could pass. There was tire fall off. The air quote minimum fall off that I saw was about 4 miles an hour from early speed to late speed, which mimicked last year's first Vegas race. And I think that's partly because it wasn't very hot. It was only in the low 60s. So there wasn't enough heat. Like, it wasn't like an 80 plus super sunny day where there would be more fall off like there was in the playoff race. But there's still a decent amount of fall off to where you could move forward, fall back, all that stuff. And there was passing the whole race. The whole race there was passing. It just didn't happen to be for the lead. And there weren't a ton of cautions. But you know what? Last year there were a ton of cautions because of tire problems and this, that, and the other. And people hated it. Even though they voted a good race because there's cautions and it bunches things back up. They didn't like the fact there were all these tire issues. Well, everything was fixed this year. There were, 4 cautions and only 2 for cause, 2 kind of near the end of the race, essentially. And, the Joey Logano spin in stage 3 and then the Eric Almirola caution, which, you said you think was a kind of an entertainment caution. I think it's borderline. I think I could definitely see it either way. And I'm not opinionated just because of my bets or how any of that went. I'm also not I'm not influenced by my betting results either, because I tweeted to somebody in the middle of the race, middle of stage 2 or beginning of stage 3. I tweeted, I think this has been a great race. I loved it. And so that was before any betting results happened. So regardless if I won my bets or not, I thought it was a great race. So I don't know what people are watching. I don't know what people want. If you don't like that race, I don't know what you want. I think you just want cautions and crashes at that point, which to me, while that's a part of racing, that's not what I want in a race. I don't want cautions and crashes. If they happen, that can make for entertainment, especially if it comes from hard racing. But that doesn't make it a good race for me. So I cannot understand somebody who voted no for that. Can't at all.
Mm-mm. Well, and here's the thing. This is our first race of the season. Like, we didn't get qualifying or practice at Auto Club. We got it at Las Vegas. And you know what? The best cars started up front. They were all there, and that's why it was a quote-unquote boring race, because nobody had major issues, there weren't wrecks, and all the fast cars were up front. So that's what's going to happen. Like I said, William Byron was the best car all weekend. It should not have been a surprise to anybody. Yes, people might have been surprised that he dominated as much as he did, but nobody should have been surprised that he had that fast of a car, because he's always been good at Vegas. I think he's led now in 6 straight races there, and he started second, had a great was great in practice, and did what he did during the race. So I think the big thing is most of the people voting in this poll are hoping for wrecks and hoping for all the cautions, which, yes, like you said, that can be exciting. The late restarts can be exciting. Obviously, we saw the whole field get all jumbled up compared to where they were running before what I call the entertainment caution there for Eric Almirola. But the fact of the matter is the best cars pretty much finished up front, outside of, the guys that kind of fell back on that final restart, and Penske cars that just seemed to fade and not do well throughout the day, which was, we're going to get to that later, I know, because there was a specific question on Twitter about that. But yeah, that's all it is. I think that poll is a lot of casual fans sitting there saying, I didn't see any wrecks, so it sucked. It was all green flag. It was drivers turning left and going fast all day. Well, you know what? If you're a NASCAR fan, I think that was a very good race. I wouldn't sit there and say it was amazing, but it was good.
I don't know if it was a bunch of casuals though, because I don't typically think casuals are voting in Jeff Gluck's poll.
You could be right. Yeah, you might be right there.
I just don't see. If you're a NASCAR fan, I don't see what was wrong with that race. I thought it was an amazing race. So. That's my whine about it. What the hell are you thinking?
Yeah. My wine that I'm trying tonight, and I have yet to try this one, it's the Passion Line Strawberry Lemonade. I have not had this one yet. It smells pretty good. We'll see how it goes. I don't know if am I going to do the ASMR like you do?
Whatever you want.
That's smooth. That's
nice.
Smooth. It's a little bubbly. It reminds me a little bit like champagne-y. Oh, but you get that strawberry. By the way, I don't really like wine. I did not start liking wine until I tried these wines. And like Nick said, we are not being influenced by this sponsorship at all. I genuinely do not like wines, but their Purple Rain is my all-time favorite
Purple
wine.
Rain
I'll
is
drink it
so
whenever.
good. Yeah.
Yes. But this might be my new favorite, to be honest with you. This is, the more I'm drinking it, it's very good.
I'll show you this too for those of you watching on YouTube. I have it in my Bristol Club bourbon glass that I got from Bristol Motor Speedway.
This is really good. This is, wow. That's dangerous. But, okay, my wine about it. I was going to drink other stuff. I might just drink this bottle. But my wine about it is, I have a couple things. I could go off on the caution. I did not think it was necessary, but that seems pretty standard for my complaining. I could talk about Fox's broadcast and not showing the running order for the entire green, white, checkered. You had no idea where anybody was. But I'm not gonna talk about that extensively. We all know how I feel about Fox and their broadcast. I don't understand why they can't get the running order in the first couple laps of a run. But no, my whine about it is going to actually be whining about myself, because my projections and what I wrote up, I feel like I wrote up Byron, I wrote up Larson, I wrote up Reddick. Obviously Reddick was the play. I got very busy. One, I was very hungover on Sunday, and I was very busy. I did not have time to do much. I literally, I played the Buddha Man contest, and then I reserved 20 lineups in the 20 entry max $4. I was putting lineups in on my phone, and you know how much of a pain in the ass that is when you have 20 there to put in, because you can't even tell which ones don't have a lineup, Mm-hmm. And I was like, literally, you can ask my friends, I was like about to pass out standing there, because this is how shitty I felt on Sunday. But so I'm just sitting there, kind of just going by memory and what my projections were, because obviously I had a very good idea of that. If I would have been able to spend the time on Sunday to truly play DFS like I know how to do, I feel like I could have absolutely crushed in DFS and had a very big day. So I'm whining about myself not making enough time to do the, and I know this is going to be so weird for people to hear. I'm just frustrated with myself that I did not take the time to do it, because, man, I know I could have had a big week, but it could have went the other way. I could have been completely off, but that's one of those weeks I wish I had back. That's my line
I'm
about
right
it.
there with you, but not in the way that I feel like I analyzed it really well and had bad results. I all week was like, I don't want to bet too much too early, and I end up with 11 pre-practice qualifying bets. And while I made 7.5 units on those bets, sorry, I missed one of them. Sorry. There were 12 pre-practice qualifying bets, and while I made 6.5 units, 6.6 technically, I only went 1, 2, 3, 4 for 12 on those bets. So I hit a third of them, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4 out of 12 for 6.6 units. The bets I made after practice and qualifying, or during practice in some cases with the William Byron bet, I made 29.8 units, and I went 3 for 8, which is a higher percentage than 4 for 12. So part of that was just the Almirola stuff we could take advantage of, but I also just felt like my analysis after practice and qualifying was spot on, and I probably could have found more edges, but I was already kind of loaded up on bets to where I didn't want to bet more after practice and qualifying because I'd done too much too early in the week. So I'm mad at myself about that, because I analyzed this race after practice and qualifying about as well as you can. And I think we'll talk about it. But looking at the 5-lap, the 10-lap, looking at the raw times are nice, but there's more to it than looking at the raw times, and that's where I felt like I had the edge. I was looking at the fall off between those, and that gave us another significant edge to where I was fading the Fords and I was on the Toyotas, and the Chevys were fine. They were the Chevys, obviously. That was the big edge going into race day, and I don't think I wrote up a single Ford driver in my Fantasy Labs article, and we talked about the Paul Menard pick of the week. We talked about, you wrote up Byron. I wrote up Byron in cash, which I think was awesome because he absolutely crushed it. And, my tournament picks were totally fine. So I was very, very happy with my process, but I didn't listen to myself. I didn't stay disciplined enough early in the week. So I'm really trying to do that this week. I'm really trying to stay disciplined, and we'll talk about Phoenix, but trying to stay incredibly disciplined because there is going to be a lot of unknown with the new aero package going into Phoenix.
Yeah. And I think, a big thing also this early in the season, it's a lot easier to not get aggressive because there is still that factor of unknown. But when, these two races, I think I saw a tweet, talking about this previous weekend Las Vegas race. Basically, the same 6 cars that were fast in the first Las Vegas race last year were the fast cars this year. And I feel like it was kind of similar to Auto Club as well in that regard. Obviously Reddick had the best car last year. Kyle Busch had the best car this year. And Ross Chastain too. Because Ross Chastain was fast in both Auto Club races as well. So definitely things to consider and talk about there moving forward. But like you said, we have new package for this weekend at Phoenix. And
I was just say I lied. I did write up Chris Buescher. But I didn't hate that. He faded at the end, but he was pretty good for some of that race. But
yeah.
But that was just a tournament play. I thought he was going to be really low owned, and he was relative to the other drivers in his price range. So didn't feel too bad about that, I guess.
And Keselowski was running top 10 for a lot of the day, but that last restart really kind of screwed a lot of things up. But that's going to wrap up the Wine About It segment this week. As you guys know, L'uva Bella wines can be found in Kroger, Meijer, Walmart, several states, including North Carolina, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Virginia, West Virginia, Tennessee, Alabama, Georgia. They also ship. You can get these wines shipped to you, and I will drop that link on Twitter and probably on YouTube as well if I remember to put it in the description. But, like we said, we are not there will be times that I try a wine on here and say that it's not good. It's just honest. I'm not a big wine guy. So trust us when we say that these wines that we're talking about, these wines we're trying on here are very good. And if you can get them shipped directly to your door, they are very affordable. Trust me. I have told the person that co-owns the company that she needs to raise their prices. That's how good these wines are. So make sure you check them out. They're a great partner for this podcast and allow us to whine about it every single week.